Hello? Yes. It's ready. Okay. Hello, everyone. So, good afternoon. Welcome to our CCAMP session. So, I'm really happy to see you all guys here because I missed a couple of IETF on-site meetings. So, I just asked my co-chairs to allow me to present, some of part of the admin slides and to make you know that I'm still alive. Okay. So, okay, let's start. So, can I control the pages? Okay, let's start from the noteware. I think actually you all know this kind of thing. So, which is a reminder, especially it says by attending IETF, you agree to follow IETF procedures and policies. So I suppose you are familiar with this kind of procedures and policies. Otherwise, I think you can have a look at the BCP documents. There are some links. And also there are some, ITF conduct guidelines, which also, about some, procedure stuff. Summary, it says ITF attendees, should respect and courtesy, to our colleagues at all time. And also we, here have impersonal discussions and ITF participants devise solutions for the global internet. And also individuals are prepared to contribute to the ongoing work of this group. Yeah, there are some tips. So for the in-person participants in the meeting room, so we have to make sure that we have to sign into the session by using the Midco Lite client, and also use the Mid Echo to join the mic queue and keep audio and the video off, and because we are in the meeting room. And for the remote participants, I think you have to make sure your audio and the videos are off unless you are speaking. And it's recommended that you guys should use a kind of headset for the remote participants. Then I think we know how to join the meeting, right? And also I think you know how to press the buttons correctly. Minute taker, I think Hao Mian, our secretary, is in the meeting room. But anyway, if anyone can help us to input something to capture some minutes online, that will be much appreciated.
Sorry, there is a copy paste issue in the slides. Luis has posted the right link in the chat if you want to join.
Yeah. And for the blue sheets, actually will be automatically created based on your data check information. And so there's nothing for us to do. And for the IPR reminder, I think there will be another page to talk about the IPR process. So I skip here. And for session, this time we have only one session for 2 hours. And this agenda, and we still have a busy agenda. So when you are presenting your slides, please use your time efficiently and leave more time for discussion, especially to discuss some open issues. And for the mailing list, we always, encourage the people to use the mailing list as much as possible, especially to discuss some new draft, some new ideas, and some open issues on your jobs. This one is really very important for the IPR process, right? So usually, prior to moving to the next step of the in the working group process. For example, when if an individual draft becomes a working group document or a working group document goes to last call, so the chairs will send out the IPR polling, and which requires the authors and the contributors to respond to their IPR polling as soon as possible. Otherwise, it will delay your draft to move forward.
So we enter now on the reporting of the working group status. The first slide is about presenting the dependencies of a number of documents in the working group in regards to some other documents about traffic engineering being developed in TIS. So Hamian prepared this nice picture. So Hamian, we invite you to come here. Probably you will be the one better explaining all these dependencies.
Yeah, Hamian speaking. Yeah, actually, we started this because there are a few documents that have quite large number of days shown in the data tracker. And now the numbers is increased by 4 because I counted last Friday. So, but I try to clear this up by drawing the dependencies, and we found something maybe even slower than we expected. So I'm trying to get everything on the right track, and I try to use different colors to describe how the dependencies, and we find, okay, those layer 1 types, OTN topology, and layer 1 CSM, which has the longest durations in the queue are all depending on the T types, which is in the TIS working group. And also the second important document for us is the T tunnel document, which is also under working group last call. So we need to finalize. We need to ask TIS to finalize that as soon as possible. And we have been sending our previous secretary to their working group as a chair and trying to make sure that this could be finalized in time. Thank you.
Thank you, Hamian. So yeah, clearly there is this blocking point. So our idea is to work on blocking it, basically. So apart from this, there are yes, yeah, Oscar.
Just by that, the red. This is me. This is the blocking. I am the shepherd of the document right now. So now it's just I am the one that needs to unblock it. Okay, so here let's make sure that we can get rid of it soon.
Wonderful. Thank you, Oscar. So continuing with the reporting of the status, we handle 2 queues in the working group. One queue for the prioritization or for working group adoption. Now we have in the queue listed documents. I cannot read it. the one about the data modeling and gap analysis for the optical pluggables that will be presented by Reza, by the way, here today. The one for the YAM data model for client signal performance monitoring, and the one about YAM data models for fine-grained optical transport networks. So these will be the 3 ones in the queue. So with the first priority for the one from Reza. And we handle as well the queue for the prioritization for the working group last call. There we have the bundle for RFC 9093Bs and the companion document on impart topology YAM model. Then as second priority, the CCAMP FlexiGrid YAM document. And finally, as third priority, the OTN tunnel model. So, and you can check for sure in the wiki all the progress of the prioritization and the evolution of the different drafts. So going quickly through the latest status in terms of RFCs and how they are progressing. So we had a recent RFC, 9656, about the microwave topology. Then in the editor's queue with some dependencies and in references, we have 3 documents, the CCAMP layer 1 type, the L1 CSM YAM model, and the OTN topo YAM model. In the ISG is now on the processing of the documents, the optical impairment topology YAM, and the 1903 BIS document that we referred before. So for today, we have a number of these documents in the agenda, the ones about the interface parameter, the WDM tunnel YAM model, and the bucket of optical pluggable use cases. So we will cover in the agenda today. We collected as well, or we intended to collect the status of the documents, working group documents that are not in the agenda, but this part is not updated. It's my fault, so I will try to update and update the wiki basically, so that we can have all the timely information there. So this is why I will skip basically, right? It's not updated. And then regarding liaisons, we don't have any active. Yesterday arrived to our mailbox one from IETF for informational purposes about IMT 2030, I guess, or 2020. 2030 should be. Yeah.
2020
is already passed. So yes, it's informative. Not sure if from the working group we need to provide an answer. Probably not. It's informative and nothing to do there. Just to recall that we in the working group we have a huge number of active calls, which shows, let's say, the health of the working group and the activity and which is the energy of the working group. We have calls about flexibility. Oh, Scott wants to comment something.
Scott Mansfield Erickson. Just, you said the word liaison, so I had to say something. The liaisons that come in that are for information, especially ones that are about IMT 2020 or IMT 2030, what the ITU is looking for is any work that you think is going to be important to the ecosystem that they would like to, that we've published in the IETF or that's close to being published. I wouldn't worry about doing, oh, we did this new thing or we got this new work item or any of that. I don't think that's necessary. So if you need anything, just send me a message and we can craft something. Thanks.
Okay, noted. Thank you. So coming back to the periodic calls, we have calls about FlexiGrid, microwave, OTN slicing, the pluggable stuff with the use cases and the modeling, optical impairment topology, and the ACTN, DNM, so the old transport interface. Okay, and that was all from our side. So maybe we can start with the presentations. Yeah.
Okay, this is Gabriele Merti, and I would like to present the state of the art on the DWDM interface parameter YANG. The co-authors are, some of them are here, and let's see first what is about. So the DWDM interface is actually augmenting the IETF interface, the 8343, and is importing the layer 0 type, so the 1993 bis. And on top of that is complementing the optical impairment topology, so that this draft is, let me say, following the fate of the topology YANG and the layer 0 type. What, as I said, is following also the 8369, and there is a reference to 1993, and has been aligned recently to these two documents, to these two drafts, with all the modification done before the last call. We have reorganized some section to realign to the template 4807. And we have closed the issue number 13, sorry, still open and to address 6, 7, and 8. you can have a look to the GitHub. Other modification, we change a little bit the TCA definition, and the TCA, we added the TCA description to be more clear. And also we change one model related to the upper and lower power thresholds. Instead of having a threshold plus an hysteresis, we prefer to have an upper and a lower threshold to rise and clear the TCA. We change also some names, like for example, transmitter tuning range in transceiver tuning range. And then we fix some very trivial young models errors. Finally, we had Italo that did support us in all the, let's say, the fixing and suggestion to improve the document. So at the moment, if we speak about the contents of the document, I could say that is done. Of course, from the formal point of view, the young doctor should give us the feedbacks. I think there will be a lot of feedbacks. And after that, this document could go, in our opinion, in the last call. Then, of course, the audience here and the feedbacks are welcome. I think that's all.
Okay. So actually, we had a young doctor review on version 9.
Yes, very old one.
Very old one, March 23.
Yeah.
So it's time for a second young doctor review. I agree. We can prepare for the next steps, asking for young doctor review and routing directory review, so that we can then start the process to move the draft forward. So I see that this has a dependency on the 1993 bis.
Yeah.
So that one needs to come first, even if
yes,
we are
yes,
almost there because it's ISP review state. I mean, it's pretty forward.
I think, of course, any new modification on 1993 bis will be reflected here, of course.
Yes. Okay. We will start we will issue the request for the reviews, so that once 1993 bis is approved, we can move forward according to the priority list that we have.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm presenting this update for the draft of WDM tunnel on behalf of the co-authors and contributors. So very quick summary of the updates. So we made some minor young model updates because this draft is depending on the RFC 1993 bis, which has had a lot of working group last call changes. So we have to align the model with the latest updates to make sure the model compiles and works. There's actually no update on the draft text. So I would say this is a very quick update. However, we have made quite a bit of discussions and updates and progress behind the table within the work within the weekly discussion, and have made some draft model updates, which has not been concluded yet. That's why we did not put it into this update. Yeah, so basically the very first open issue and that we have been focusing on discussing is about the support of this model for regenerator scenarios. And there are many types of scenarios. So we discussed and compiled if not all, like a fairly complete list of reference scenarios in which the optical regenerator is used in the WDM tunnel. And we have produced a draft YAM model update to support all these scenarios. So in which the first we clarified what we mean by incoming and outgoing transponders within a tunnel for the regenerators. And there are different regenerator scenarios for unidirectional and bidirectional regenerators. They mean different things. So we introduced these two terms. Also we introduce the concept of regeneration layers as well as the digital layer mapping and termination. The YAM model was also redesigned to contain the structure for source, destination, and the regenerator transponders. In this support, we have considered the two cases of regenerators. The first one is where we have a pair of transponders as regenerators, and that pair of transponders is regenerating the entire OTSIG, which can have one or multiple OTSIs. And the other scenario is more complicated. We could use multiple transponder pairs, and each of the transponder pair is regenerating a single OTSI. Yeah, so there are many action points that we still need to conclude for the discussion before we can put an update through to the draft. So we need to add some text describe in detail of those regenerator scenarios and how we consider the model design to accommodate all those scenarios. And also whether there are, basically the list of scenarios, there are some corner cases which may not be realistic in deployment, and whether it's worth to be included in the discussion. So that we need to do some homework, and then also. Again, like we need to go through the YAM model to validate the YAM model against all the reference scenarios that we have decided to include. So this is a picture about what we call about incoming and outgoing transponders in the reference scenario for regenerators. But I have to put a note that we had some side meeting yesterday, and although we have come up with the description about the incoming and outgoing transponders, there's a basically we still feel like it's not clear enough. So there will be further changes down the road. But for the time being, that's what we have come up so far. As you see in the picture, we have a unidirectional regenerator where a single transponder is taking the signal from the receiving end and regenerating the signal in the same transponder for one direction, for the forward direction, and then the other transponder is regenerating the signal for the reverse direction. Right? Whereas in the bidirectional regeneration case, the two transponders work back to back for the bidirectional regeneration. So and then this is a reference, a typical reference scenario included here just for the discussion. And this one shows that we could do different regeneration at different layers, right? And on the left, you will see the regeneration is done at the 100G Ethernet, and also in the middle, the regeneration can be done on the ODU4 layers, as well as also on the OTU4 layer on the right. Right. So this is a more sophisticated scenario with 4 times 100G Ethernet going through a WDM tunnel with regeneration in the middle. And again, in this case, the regeneration can be done on different layers, including at the OTU-C4 and also at the Flex OXR layer. And also note in this case, the number of OTSIs before the regeneration and number of OTSIs after the regeneration could be different, right? Depending on the type of transponders we put together. So of course, looking into all those reference scenarios, it will have impact into the YANG module designs. This is just a list of few points that we conclude from the discussion. Basically, we need to define what we call the type of multiplexing technologies used, and the type of digital mapping technology to map the client signal onto the OTN signal and gets sent out in an OTSI, right? And what are the client payload that's can be carried by a WDM tunnel, and as well as the multiplexing port, multiplexing slot used by the client. Yeah, and the digital termination type, which defines the container, the multiplex container that can use that are used to carry the signal. So we have already put this into a YANG module update, but that still needs to be further analyzed. Yeah, so this is just a snippet of a portion of the YANG model. It's a lot, but I doubt you can read it with this small screen. But the main point here is when we are defining the YANG model for to configure the regenerator on the node, we trying to create a structure that can accommodate the configuration for both source, destination, and regeneration. And so the YANG model is organized into three branches, one for the source and destination transponder, because they are the same, they contain the same structure. And then the second branch is about the regenerator, which basically describes a single regenerator that can regenerate the entire OTSIG, as we said before. And then the last one is a list of regenerators, each of them regenerating a single OTSI, right? So in this structure, we have defined the information that for the digital layer termination, for the transceiver configuration with or without inverse multiplexing, as well as for the regenerators, the incoming transponder and outgoing transponder. But again, like we have discussed yesterday, there are still some concerns about the clarification of what is incoming, what is outgoing, and that will be likely reflected in the YANG model updates, including the name changes. So Then there are also comments, review comments from the routing area director, and as well as young doctor reviews. We haven't addressed them completely, so we need to cover this in the next update, and also to improve the text for especially on the provisioning steps for WDM tunnel, because right now, so far, the description put in the text is very preliminary, right? So we need to enrich that description. And then also to better illustrate the relationship between this model and the other dependent models, we can put a diagram in there to show the relationship. And also possible extensions to define optical specific operations in young RPCs to perform operations like automatic power equalization, thing and stuff like that on a WDM tunnel object. So the next steps is to address all those open issues for sure, and also there's another companion draft for WDM path computation. So the modeling structure with the WDM path computation and WDM tunnel are a big portion of that will be the same. So we'll need to align the changes with that model. And also there's ongoing gap analysis on the pluggable modeling and how we need to say when we have optical pluggable, coherent pluggables in the network, how do we do provisioning for WDM tunnel between the two pluggables? And so we need to go through all this analysis that might result in some additional changes to the model that needs to be included. And then, of course, we'll look for very helpful feedback from the working group. And so we meet weekly on Thursday. Anyone interested is more than welcome to join the call and contribute to the draft. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you for pointing out the potential dependencies from the pluggable work. I think we can identify it on the wiki as a potential dependency, meaning that it's not a strict dependency, but the updates to that draft might impact this one.
Yeah.
So once the pluggable work is I wouldn't wait for it to be at the working group last call, but we can check if there are impacts on this work maybe after the adoption or when it is a little bit more stable, right?
Yeah. I think that's what would be the next step to do once the pluggable work is adopted.
I will add that this is a soft dependency in the wiki.
Yeah.
So this is Oscar González, Telefónica. So I'm going to present you the updates on the draft on the use case and network scenarios for the packet optical integration with coherent pluggables. So if I can move forward.
I got to share again.
I forgot to do it.
So just I'm going to just start with the a brief recap on the okay, here it is. A recap on the motivation. So here, what we wanted to achieve here is the end-to-end control of a packet optical network that includes these pluggables. So just a very brief note, okay, we are talking about generalizing about coherent, not only coherent pluggables. So here, it all started with coherent pluggables, okay, but when we receive inputs that we don't restrict ourselves to coherent technology. Okay, so it's programmable. So that is any pluggable that is not just something fixed, that it has the ability to be able to select well. And so it doesn't matter whether it is coherent or non-coherent technology. Okay. So here the agreement was that we work in IETF in these scenarios, in the use cases, and also the modeling, but we split the work. So here, this particular draft is defining the scenarios and the use cases. And well, it has been the input for the work that it will be presented later for the modeling. And we are having some weekly open calls, okay? And we have also GitHub and to track the issue. So, and at the end, we will decide what to do with this draft, okay? Because here it has the purpose that it's already been shared, okay, which is to collect this and trigger the modeling work, but we need to decide what to do. So what are the updates? So here we have added some scenarios. So the very first one, we received inputs from MOPA, this is the Mobile Optical Pluggables Alliance, and they say, okay, hey, we have a use case where we have in the base stations, we want to integrate pluggables, so and we need to transport it. So here we have some scenarios that are similar to those. Okay, so we analyze the scenarios, we verified, and we saw that, I mean, the type of transport scenarios that were in the end quite similar. So they were like point to point, going through through mesh network, etc. So there were several scenarios that were quite aligned. Okay, so it's good. So it was incorporated. Other scenario that was not originally included was the optical protection scenario. Okay, so we also reckon that it is valid that you have two routers with pluggables and that in the middle you you are allowed to do pure optical protection. Also, we had we were requiring some formal references. Okay, so for example, for the we are in this coherent pluggables, we are in this talking about the operational mode. Okay, which is with that you select the modulation format and baud rate, etc. And we require a formal definition. So I think so far the best formal definition that we found was included in the impairment topology draft. I don't know if there is a better reference, but we try to find in the standards if there was, or in CMIS or somewhere, but at least this is the IETF reference. And then we fix some other issues. So then I'm gonna go briefly through the open issues that we have that the working group can chime in and can provide. So here the first one is the main use case is the planning. So in order to do the detailed physical impairment validation, the controller or a planning tool will need to have the details of that particular pluggable. So here you can have two different ways and the impact in the control plane are different. So either you are based on inventory, so you know this is a pluggable, you have a part number, and you look in your database and you get all the information from there, and you can do your physical impairment. So everything is there. And the other one is, well, you access some sort of a manifest that contains all the details. So the controller do not need to have that information offline. So okay, you plug it, that is discovered, and then the controller can provide to the planning tool that manifest. Okay, so that would imply that you need to extend the modeling, or you have a more complex modeling, and all the physical impairments is or the characteristics of the pluggable that you require for that computation is normalized. Okay, so it's not just something that you know by other means. Okay, so that has implications. So here, what we will do is to document those options. Okay, and those options are valid. Okay, so just they have implications. Another one is the breakout use case. So we are seeing more and more that the programmable pluggables, they support this breaking out into multiple ports. Okay, so we still have the open points whether we need to have a specific use case where we address this complexity, and that might also require the modeling to be extended. So right now the breakout is more considered in Ivy. Okay, so right now it's like decoupled from the pluggable, but in the end it's very coupled. Okay, because operational modes are also associated to breakouts. Okay, so here it has a relation, but so far the operators did not yet have a full breakout cases, special ones. Then we also have one of the operators called it was discussed to add a new use case on maintenance or in-service upgrades. So so that means in the network while you are doing an upgrade, you might need to reconfigure the pluggable while the path or what you're doing this maintenance operation. Also, we have an issue in trying to avoid putting in the use case the sequence of the configuration. So here the use case or the problem to solve was the provisioning of an IP link, and there, okay, we had an initial workflow, okay, that you first configure the line system and then the pluggable, and then people said, no. Here, there were multiple solutions out there. Some of them implied, no, first I turn on the light and then I turn on my line system and then I can do a equalization. So in the end, we said, okay, we acknowledge there are multiple solutions, multiple ways. So we are removing a specific workflow. So that's left for implementations. So we are just rewriting just no sequence, but it's the protocol. The protocol should support different workflows. So whether you can configure first the pluggable or first the WLAN system, that's open and it's not going to be normalized. Find a formal definition of optical disaggregation. So optical impermanence topology graph is a possible way. It's only tip is mentioned in the optical disaggregation, but it's not really a standard. So maybe we need to. We all know when we refer to optical disaggregation, but there was no formal place that define it. So it's more for us. We have this point still open. Also, an open point is we mentioned about some use cases that require the triggering of a reconfiguration in the pluggable. So here, what is this trigger? Is a bandwidth increase or whether that is open now, so we can be clarified. And also we have a bunch of editorial issues there. The other issues that we have is one particular use case was, and the problem to solve is, okay, can I automate the correlation between the optical layer and the router with the pluggable? That automatical linking without human or manual intervention, well, it's a problem. Is this a problem space where IETF can do something or not? So maybe this is open, and maybe we don't need to work here. And then we have still a review from Deborah pending, with a lot of operational issues to incorporate operational considerations, define the security levels, go further in the protection or restoration, because we have it now a little bit. Okay, we can have it, but we don't enter into detail, and more network-wide optimization. So we still have some refinement to do. So here, the next steps is to solve these open issues, collaborate with the young to solve the use cases and scenarios, and decision on what to do. Okay, so here, what is well, because I showed you your priority queue at the beginning, and this is not in the queue to become an RFC or not, because okay, this is a document that was for providing, but what do we want to do? Do we want to have it as an RFC, so we close it and we publish it soon, or do you want to let it die? So that is this decision on. We didn't know. What is the aim?
So I see the queue is long. I will try to answer your question and then we move to the queue. So in the wiki we have identified like the top priorities, meaning the next 2-3 drafts that we want to proceed. So the fact that is not there, it doesn't mean that we don't want to proceed. But it's very good to raise the point. I don't know, maybe we can ask Ketan what his opinion is, because over the years I've heard different opinions from the ISG. So there were periods in which we were discouraged to publish use cases drafts and stuff like that. So there has always been the suggestion to use them, because I mean they are driving the solutions, but then not to publish them. Just keep them as a document that is needed to do the solutions, and once the solutions are done, let it die. What is your suggestion here? Should we target publishing the documents or not?
So if the informational documents are going to help in operationalizing or deploying something, then there is a value in publishing it. If it's only meant for, coordinating or organizing or like the work in the working group, I'm not sure if there is a big value in publishing it as an RFC. But that's my personal view.
Okay. No, sounds absolutely good. Well, actually, I do find also some value in this document, because it is true that is used to set the requirements for the solution, but it also giving operational suggestions on how to do it. So if we continue in this way, I probably see value in progressing the draft. Italo, please.
Thank you. Can you go back to slide 4, please?
You have the click.
Oh.
You can revoke.
This one or
No, number 4.
this one?
The previous one. One back. Yes, this one.
Yeah.
Okay, for Open Issue 12, I'm a little bit confused, because when we discuss the same issue in optical impairments, the idea is that the validation of the impairments is based on the operational mode. The operational mode is a pointer to a spec provided by the vendor that tells you everything that you need to validate the optical impairments. I understand that is not automatic like a manifest, but I don't understand why we need to go to the part number, because that's not what you have in the optical impairments. So that was a little bit confusing to me, why we didn't consider this option.
Because so far when we had to do the impairment validation with any third-party tool, it not only depended on the operational mode, but on the operational mode and some characteristics of the pluggable, like sensitivity or.
But that's in the operational mode. That's what is confusing to me.
But it is not in part of the operational mode. It can be the same operational mode in different vendors, and the performance might be different.
I'm confused. If it's the same operational mode in different vendors, it's 2 different operational modes, because the operational mode is identified by the vendor, and the operational mode string. And if 2 vendors assign the same operational mode, it's 2 different operational modes. So I'm confused why we need to look at the part number for optical impairments validation, which is not in the optical impairments topology. So either we did wrong or something strange.
No, this is why my take is what is it something needed beyond the operational? If it's just operational mode, and with that you are done, you don't need it. But if you need a characterization of the pluggable beyond the operational mode, is when it is required. Okay, so and I think
but for optical impairments validation, that should
yes,
be
to know if how long can you reach.
That's the operational mode.
Yes.
The operational mode is telling you your SNR margin that you have. Is telling you how your sensitivity on PDL, PMD.
Well, maybe you are the expert and you can.
No, that's the way we design the optical impairments. I'm not saying that is the best design. I say that's the way we design the optical impairments. That was the feedback we received from the people doing that, that they get all the information in the operational mode. Then I understand the argument of the manifest that the operational mode requires you to write code, and then there is an idea to go and get that information rather than from the spec. But I didn't heard up to few minutes ago about the part number. That's why I'm surprised.
Because from the part number is when you can really know the specific pluggable that you are talking about, and this is when you can have this more detailed modeling if it's required. Okay, so this is maybe that is beyond just the operational code. So it might be all you have in the impairments, but that is not covered in a single number, right? What all you have in the is not everything a single.
No, in the impairments we said for this specific transceiver, which may be pluggable or not pluggable. It doesn't matter because I don't care when I do part computation whether the transceiver is pluggable or not pluggable. These are my capabilities, and based on that, I do the part computation and the optical impedance validation. I don't need to know. The way we designed it was not to care about what is the hardware,
But
where this transceiver is plugged in, is pluggable or not pluggable, is which.
But you were assuming that the same code for different versions or different vendors would perform the same. That
It's
was
the same.
assumption.
No, it's the same operational mode. If it is different vendors, it's different operational mode. If it is different versions of the same vendor, it's different operational mode. That's the way it has been designed, the operational mode. So the operational mode is uniquely identifying what are the performances of your transmitter and receiver. Sorry? A capability of the transceiver, yes, exactly. No matter whether it is in one module, in a board, integrated, not integrated.
Guys, can I suggest to take this offline
Okay.
because we are already eating all the buffer at the end of the session. Swami.
Yeah, I have two questions. Okay, it's a kind of similar to the question from Italo, is that, is there, because I see one of the approaches is actually looking from an external sources based on inventory, right? So is your idea in this to kind of also have pluggable related information in somewhere in the inventory? So that was my question, but then, we have debated a lot more. So I don't know what your thought process on that was.
No, that option one is what you have today, that whenever you are in your planning phase, you have the data that the vendor is providing. With that, you go to the planning tool and you plan it. This is why you have something somewhere external, is you have a database or a sheet or some information, you do your computations. This is one, this is how it is done today, which is not something that automatically you get all of these informations via programmatically, and then you can do it, let's say, automatically with something with a data model. Okay.
That's still not closed, like whether you want that as a use case. That's what I hear it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. But this is, we are documenting here in the draft, we are documenting how to do things, and what would be required from industry to have if we want to move to that solution. But the one that they get the inventory and get it, this is what we have today. That is particularly per vendor.
Thanks for the question. Can you go to the next slide? The issue 15, right? About the maintenance and in-service upgrades and so on, right? In your discussions, are you kind of making a distinction between upgrading the host, upgrading the plug, and upgrading the line system, or how complex do you think is the from a requirement?
Yeah, so far it was not there, the use case. So this is why it was raised in one of the calls. Hey, we should add this use case. So that's to be written. Okay, so that's for contributions to add, whether we want to split and we want to consider the upgrades separately, and that they will trigger different mechanisms, etc. That's for contributions to the site. Okay, so the open issue is just because someone said, hey, I want a use case for that. Okay, but
no, because the reason why I asked this question is that there are some discussions on CMIS on how you do upgrade of thing coming from different vendors, blah blah blah. So if there is an idea here and we need to influence the conversation, it's something that worth discussing. Okay, that's my comment.
So did you go back to page 4? So you just said that you are going to document two options. So have you done some analysis on the pros and the cons of these two options? Which one is more feasible? Because from my perspective, I think it's better to just pick one of them rather to document two options.
Well, we can then maybe what we can do is document the first one as the current, as what you do today, and the second one as, okay, if we want to fully automate the process of the use case of planning and being autonomous, you would need to move to the second one. So the first one, I take it for granted somehow that it is how you do it today. So maybe
in the end, it's not two options. It's doing things manually like this done
E-
today, doing things
ex-
automatically.
Exactly.
Two
So,
different use cases.
so maybe I can document it in a different way. So the documenting in the let's say more manual process, or that, or the data, the call it data model based case where everything comes
Sounds
from there.
Yeah.
Generic. Consistently with what Fatah just said and Italo, I believe that we need to resolve some misunderstanding, because I believe there is no orthogonal proposal here, and it's consistent with as has been already defined in the optical impairments. We have several options of optical impairments, and as you said, Daniele, they are just enhancements from purely manual to details, available capabilities, attributes, and so on. So to me, you are just misusing some terms or not align the wording, but it's all part of a consistent approach. I don't think there is some strong opposition between those proposals. So I really believe that we can resolve those issues pretty easily while we are here in Madrid.
Thanks, Oscar. Next is Reza.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Reza Rukwi from Siena on behalf of the authors and contributors discussing about the pluggables, gap analysis, and modeling. This is all basically the enabler for whatever Oscar just mentioned. To have those use cases, we need the pluggable modeling, and whatever we are proposing here is going to be aligned with whatever he is asking. Just a quick summary of this draft. I see a group of people are new. Maybe this is the first time that they see this draft. Hopefully they already read that. But the whole idea of this draft is to provide the analysis of different standardization, forum, STOs from the pluggable perspective, starting from the IETF, ITUT, the OpenConfig, TAPI, and try to see how we can model the pluggables, the attributes that we need. This is a starting point, and after going to the gap analysis, if we find any attribute which are missing, how we want to address it. So this is a short summary of what we want to achieve and what is the end goal. Again, the end goal is the use cases that Oscar mentioned. We have to be able to support that. He's asking about the n number of use cases, how we can address that. So this is the ultimate goal from the perspective of this draft. To achieve that, we have the weekly meeting. We went through the all pluggable attributes, as I mentioned, in 3 different areas. Capability attribute, which is related to operational mode that we were discussing for last 5 minutes. Configuration attributes and PM state attributes. So 3 different areas. The first one is read-only, configuration, read-write, and PM state is read-only. We have the comprehensive list of attributes that we need for the pluggables from various sources. As you see here, I mentioned the sources. So we take that, and based on the various discussion that we have, we find out what are the attributes that are defined somewhere else that we need, but is not in any IETF documents. So we took this one, basically, and we go through this gap analysis. We started doing that one. You see the source of the document that we took from IETF, OpenConfig, ITUT, and the TAPI. And this draft that you see here is complementary to that Google Sheet. So basically, Google Sheet is a comprehensive list of attributes, and this one is describing what we want to do with that. So when you're reading this one, you have to take a look at that Google Sheet as well. Take both of them together to have a comprehensive view of what we want to do. So version 2 of this document was issued. We are working towards version 3 of that. It's not done yet. Hopefully we can finish it in next couple of weeks. And that will be the basis for the discussion that we will have here, where as we go, we are asking for the working group adoption, but that will be the basis for that adoption. This is a snippet of the gap analysis that we did in the 3 areas. Again, capability attributes, configuration attributes, and PMN states. And we find out the various attributes. This is work in progress. This is very important to understand that this is not done yet, but this is a starting point for that. We find out a group of attributes which are needed, and as we go through that process, we finalize those. When we find out the attributes which are needed, again, the goal is to have a pluggable modeling, Yang modeling of how we can model that. And to do that, when we find out this gap analysis, the number 2 here says, when we find the gaps in the various areas, the last portion of this slide is show that how to incorporate that one in existing IETF ecosystem. There are various ways. We didn't talk about it. You can go to the augmentation of the existing model. For example, impairment draft. We can do the beads, update, a separate model for the pluggables or etc. So we didn't specify any specific approach how to resolve the gap analysis that we did, because we haven't finished the gaps. And after that, we go through this process. We propose approaches which is aligned with existing IETF draft. It's very important to understand we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to make sure that if there is something at IETF, we want to reuse that. So with that one, I finished the talk, and we can go to a question if there are any. When we have the third version of the document, we are asking for the working group adoption. We are working towards that goal for a while now, a group of vendors and operators together, and this is a kind of recognition of that work that has been done. With that one, I don't have anything else to mention here. If there is any question or concern or any clarification based on what Oscar mentioned.
Any question? So I have one. I was ready to start a polling for the adoption of version 0.02, but now you said that you have a version 0.3 upcoming.
Yeah, yeah, because
So
this was your ask that put the
Exactly.
gap, so we
Exactly. So I would like to better understand what is coming in version 0.3, in the sense that so far, and this is just my personal feeling as a contributor, the draft was still lacking the two purposes that it has: the Yang model and the gap analysis.
Mm-hmm.
However, this is a draft that we requested to the authors and to the working group. So even if is not yet in a good enough state, in my opinion, that this does not prevent in the end from working group adoption, because I mean, the interest is clear. It's a draft that we requested, so I mean, we can close one eyes and adopt it on faith, let me say. Now, I would like to understand what are you planning to add in version 0.3, because if you are addressing all of my concerns, that's perfect.
Yeah,
we wait for 0.3 and then we go. If you are just adding some little pieces, but you believe that my concerns are still there, then we can run this show of hands to understand if the working group is comfortable to adopt the draft in this premature, in my opinion, state.
Okay, my recommendation is to wait for the version 3 for working group adoption, and the main reason is that in a specific section 6 and 7 has been modified, and those are exactly as you said. We have a list of tables for the missing attributes for the capability, for configuration, for PM and states. The only thing which is after that we have to do, we go through the how to resolve that on IETF. So we didn't do that one, because if you don't have the list of all gaps, no, you cannot address that. So with that one, I can say 60, 70, 80% of your concern is already addressed with the 03. And it's better to wait for that to see what we have. And we already discussed it with all the authors and contributors. They are comfortable to go with that one. When we have the all pull requests finished, we can submit it hopefully next couple of weeks. And from there, it's better to go with the adoption with that version.
Perfect. I had already written the text of the polling. I will reuse it for the next draft.
Just wait 2 weeks. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So a quick time check. Guess what? We are late, but 5 minutes late. And the buffer at the end is already gone.
Okay, so I explain quickly. All right, everyone. I'm Shunsuke Honma from NTT. In this presentation, I'd like to introduce our draft about a young data model for CMIS access and control. So firstly, I will explain the background and motivation of our draft. So as you know, by downsizing of DC transceiver, router and switches can equip with DC transceiver and connect it to the optical networks directly. So DC transceiver equipped with a router managed by network OS with CMIS specified standardized in OIA. Network OS abstract physical layer, including CMIS, and operator can handle the DC transceiver with standard or with a proprietary interface such as NetConf or IETF YAN or CLI. So DC transceivers feature depend on the vendor's DSP implementation, and network OS need to development to support DC transceiver. So there are some restriction on combination of the router and DC transceivers, I think. Also, CMIS has a custom page as vendor's specific field, and there are no way to handle such field with standard schema. So we proposing a young data model for accessing and controlling CMIS. So this slide shows the overview of CMIS structure. A CMIS memory map is divided into several pages, and each page has several values, and you can access to the target value by indicating offset and size. CMIS also defines a bank to support additional data blocks. So this is an overview of our proposal concept. So our proposed YAN is expected to be used for, on the interface between controller and network OS. This is just an example, and you can put some proxy application in your router, and in such use case, the proxy and network OS communicate by using our proposed YAN, and the controller can communicate with network OS with more abstracted interface. So on the right side figure shows a tree diagram of proposed YAN, and these contain page information and barrier information. Page number and bank are used for indicating target memory, and you can write and read the appropriate data by defining the offset and size and value data in value information. And that this proposed YAN is expected to be augmented to IETF interfaces. So this slide shows our expecting use cases. So first use case is centralized control of plug-up DC modules. In other words, layer 1 private network service. In this model, service providers controller should manage every optical devices, including DC transceiver accommodated in the customer's router. So by using our proposed end, so we can avoid the resurrection of the combination problem of DC transceiver and routers. Second use case is using custom pages. Actually, there are some implementation using custom pages. For example, high accuracy metrics. For example, optical characteristics and nanosecond ordered delay measurement. Right side figure shows the example of the nanosecond ordered delay. So in this delay measurement function in the DSP, insert the test signal 11111 and measure the delay time, come back to the 11111 signal. And the measured delay time is contained to the custom page, and the operator can get the measured data by accessing the CMIS page, CMIS custom pages. So this our current draft provides two types of the young data structures. So left side is a basic model, and I introduced in the previous slide. And right side is a primitive mode, and this is simpler data model. In other words, primitive mode has a flat data structure, and page number, bank, offset size, and value is defined in the same hierarchy. So we need the opinion from the implementer of network OS, which is better to implement. So this slide describes security considerations. So our draft provides just young model. So you can use netconf, restconf, and SSH TLS for secure communication. Also, in the layer 1 private network use cases, so customer need to expose the netconf interface to the service provider. So NSCM may be required to prevent access to the inappropriate registers. Also, in such use case, operator should provide some authentication method to protect sensitive optical module configurations. So next actions. So in the current document describes just only the edit config YANG. So we would like to extend the YANG for RPC and actions. Also, I know there are some related works like the Leza's document or Oscar's document. So I clarify the relationship with other related documents. Anyway, so this draft is the first version, and your feedback is needed. Thank you. Any queries?
We have Reza and then Fatah in the queue.
Rizal from Siena. Just for clarity, VDM, I don't know how many know about that. The VDM is the vendor-defined messaging on CMIS, which is related to the PMs, PM and state, basic read-only information. So with that disclaimer, we have this in our draft, and we have an action item to talk about it after we finish the gap analysis. Is related to we call it OPEC attributes. So generally OPEC attributes for PM, OPEC attributes for configuration, and for capability. There might be some capability that one vendor or one other vendor is not supporting or supporting. So long story short, I think this work is important, but we are addressing in our draft And if you are interested, you are more than welcome to join that discussion, and let's have that thought process into a single draft which comprehensively address that one.
Yep, let me participate in your work.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So I have just one simple question. So, you know, CMIS is introduced by OIF, and I think most of us in this meeting room actually are not involved in OIF. So I had a quick review on your draft to try to understand what is CMIS. But, you know, in the section you said CMIS is content management interpretability specification. But in the terminology, it says CMIS is common management interface specification. I think it's better to make it consistent. Otherwise, it will confuse people.
Yes, so unfortunately, I'm not a specialist for CMIS, so I need help. So specialist of CMIS. So we will welcome the feedback from the CMIS aspect.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Scott usually puts us back on track. Don't fail us.
This is the plan. Scott Mansfield Erickson, talking about a update to the microwave radio link draft. I've got a short presentation here, and Italo and some others are in the room just in case I get in trouble, but he's leaving, he's fleeing. Anyway, so this draft is, there's a GitHub, and there's the data tracker entry. And I just provided this here if you don't know what it's all about. And this is radio link for microwave. We're trying to create a new version of 8561. So where we, well, now see, I did it too much. So we have on our GitHub several open issues, and I put down the ones that are generating the most discussion right now, talking about cross-polarization on our interface cancellation over multiple nodes, the maintenance timer, which is a very interesting one. It's a Yang scheduling issue, trying to understand how you can start something on a schedule and then stop it, and how you deal with that in Yang and NMDA. A receiver is on, so if there's multiple receivers, how do you support diversity? And trace identifier is another issue that we're going through. So these are things that we have been adding to this over the past year or so, and a lot of this work has been done to bring in capabilities that were being that were needed in other groups. So, and done through plug fests. So this is reasonable stuff. And then we had an early IANA review. And so I put the summary of the early IANA review here, because anybody that's working on a draft like this is going to get the same message. So treat this as a warning. So you need to check out your XML registry. If you're going to obsolete an RFC, you have to check your registries, you have to check your SMI, you have to check your Yang parameters and make sure that's all okay. And then they were very nice in providing this information. It was very clear and good direction. And so if you're interested in this at all, we have meetings every week, and they're on Thursdays at 5 to 6 a.m. Eastern time. So it's good times for the Europeans. And even Chinese have a good, Asians have a good time joining this one, if there was any interest. And so help out on the GitHub and support us, and support this work to become a working group draft on the CCAMP list. That's all I got. Thank you.
I see the draft name doesn't associate the draft to CCAMP. Is it on purpose or just a mistake?
No, I think it's, well, that's where we put it. And if it belongs in another working group, hey, that's great. Let's talk.
No, I think it belongs to CCAMP. I was expecting to see draft.
Oh, does it not say
CCAMP?
Oh, does it not say? Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's an oversight. Draft. Yeah, you're right. I should put I apologize. That's an easy one. We'll fix that at the next release. We'll put
I'm not able to
draft
ask difficult
Daniela CCAMP is the coolest dash radio.
Exactly.
Okay, got it. Anything else? So join the calls if you like
uh,
microwave.
There is a question.
There is a
Question? Oh, okay, great. Yes, Mohammed.
Yeah, hello, Mohammed Burun from High Street Technologies.
Hey, nice to see you in person.
Yeah, first of all, very glad to be here, see everyone in person for the first time. A question or rather observation from the list of open issues. I see that there is also a gap analysis going on to bridge the gap between the air interface and microwave radio link. And
Right.
from what I understood from the other colleagues, there is no clear approach that how a gap is identified is the easier part. How it is handled is, at least for the other work group, it was not very clear.
Mhm.
My question is there a workflow how the gap, the information is handled in microwave radio link?
Right. Well, in here, the way that we do it is the items that come up in the gap analysis, we take them out of there and create an issue and progress the issue. And so if there's something that we're missing in the gap analysis, if there's something else that needs to be looked at, there is a spreadsheet that was put together with what was already looked at. If there's more that we need, add it to there. And then we can take it out of there and create a separate issue to progress the gap.
If one more follow-up, sorry. If it needs to address a gap, it needs to extend the reach of the reaching hand of the data model. Does that would also, first, I cannot think of an example, let's say alarms, list of alarms, if that needed to be included and the extent of the work needed to be extended massively, would that be also handled in the same way, or is there a different approach?
If there's work that needs to be done, we'll have to look at what the work that needs to be done is and then decide if it's in this draft or in another draft. So, yeah. I don't know if I'm answering your question, but we can talk about it offline. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. This is Yanxia from China Unicom. I'm presenting the young data model for fine-grained optical transport network. The authors are from China Unicom, Huawei CICT, and the contributor is from Fiber Home. The main ideas of this job is about FGO10 young data model. We describe the control interface requirements of FGO10 and the 3 scenarios that require special consideration. We've also defined 2 young data models for FGO10 topology and the FGO10 tunnel. So the main changes from version 3 to version 4 is we made some editorial updates, and we update the description of the multi-domain FGO10 headless resizing process. We've also removed the link termination point argumentation and updated the definition of bandwidth for links which support FGO10. For the FGO10 headless resizing, we discussed and revised the headless resizing scenarios and add an appendix to describe the multi-domain FGO10 headless resizing process. It contains 6 steps. Step 1, the coordinator sends a resizing command to the source node with controller 1. The commands include the target bandwidth and the FGO flex service identifier. Step 2, controller 1 will report the bandwidth adjustment states notification to coordinators. And then Node 1 to Node 6 will modify their configuration through data plane node by node. And the detail of this process can reference to Lin-Yi's draft about the FGOTN control analysis or the ITUT 0709. To be noted that the FGOTN resizing is divided into two directions. After the resizing from node 1 to node 6 is completed, controller 1 will report the ending states notification to MDSC. At the same time, the reverse direction resizing will be triggered by the data plane automatically. Once the reverse resizing begins, controller 3 will report the bandwidth adjustment states to the MDSC. After the reverse direction, that is node 2 to node 1 resizing is complete, controller 3 will report ending states notification to MDSC. According to the whole process, where the domain controllers include the domain controller 2 will should need to report the notifications of topology and tunnel resource changes to MDSC coordinator. We need to know that the resource and destination controller need to report their resizing states to the coordinators. We also try to enhance the ITUT definitions for the FGOTN heightness resizing. So that if the if ITUT has enhancement has defined, we should follow this draft should follow the enhancements. This is closed open issue how to filter the TPs which support FGOTN. In network loads in operator network will support FGOTN. As shown in these figures, loads A, B, and D support FGOTN, but node C do not support. Before the service provisioning process, such as the resource check stage, we need to know which TP support FGOTN. In our previous solutions, we argument one attribute under the termination point to indicate whether the TP can support or not, can support FGOTN or not. According to the discussion, we realized that the bandwidth of OTN link has provided sufficient information to identify whether the TP support or not. So it's not needed to augment one attribute to illustrate these filters. So we remove this attribute. And this is an example of link bandwidth. When if load A to load B, the bandwidth from load A to load B is 100 G. If we allocated 16 audio 0 for FGOTN, so the max link bandwidth for FGOTN bandwidth is 2000. For the unreserved bandwidth, the audio type is audio 0 and the audio TS number is from 1 to 16. And this is an Young data model to describe the bandwidth of links which support FGOTN. If a link can support FGOTN switching, we need to lower the max bandwidth and the unreserved bandwidth for FGOTN switching. In this switching, we changed the types for FGOTN bandwidth and OGTS number from string to the unsynced integer. Next step, we will continue the discussing of the open issue on GitHub, including more discussing on the identification for FGOTN TTPs and tunnels, how to define a sector to support the multi-layer paths. More information can be found on our GitHub. According to the bi-weekly meetings, we think our work is ready for working group adoption, so we request the working group adoption. We also have weekly meetings on Wednesday by we link, we welcome other people to join our work. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. Questions? Ivo.
Just a quick question on the, I think one of the slides you show like step 1 to 6, right? For the hit list resizing. The quick question is, can you do both forward and reverse simultaneous, or you have to do this step by step?
What?
Can you carry hit list resizing for the forward direction and reverse direction?
Yes.
At the same time?
I think the this hasness resizing process from node 1 to node 6 is triggered by the data plane, so we don't find it at there.
So they cannot be done at the same time. You have to start from source to the
source to destination is triggered by the controller 1, and the reverse from node 6 to node 1 is triggered by the data plane. It's defined on the IETF.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one is Italo. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. I'm presenting applicability of transport or CMAP to transport network. This draft has been also presented to NMOP yesterday. And what is the motivation? The motivation is that we are noticing that CMAP is an emerging concept in NMOP working group, is an activity which is driven by the operators, which is getting some traction in the market. And in addition to that, we see that the CMAP definitions includes, even if it's not limited to, the transport network, in particular the OTN and WDM transport networks are part of the CMAP. And the question we are trying to ask with this internet draft is, what is the impact or the applicability of CMAP to the optical transport networks? And we have started to have an outline, but mainly the main content for this 0.0 draft, which is a very initial stage, is we started to look around what are the use cases where in the transport network we can benefit for CMAP work. And the 3 use cases are service provisioning, where we have the customer requesting a service with different SLA parameters like bandwidth, delay, or availability, and that will trigger automatic setup of the whole network infrastructure from the service layer down to the WDM link. And even you can also track how you go down, how this services map over to the fibers or cable or even the trenches which carry multiple cables. And another use case is the SRLG, or this is the problem with the PDF, is the case where you have the protection path goes from E to F to AEFD. I don't know why PDF translation has messed it up. So in this case, you see that you have a protected scenario, but the 2 links, there could be the case that the 2 links that are separated links in topology, in the OTN topology, are actually sharing the same fiber, or maybe it's 2 fibers in the same group, in the same cable, or in the same trench, and you are actually do not really providing resiliency. This is a well-known problem, but the key issue is that the current solution is to configure SLG manually on the device, and this is error-prone because maybe the information is not accurate, or there can be manual mistakes. So the new technology may benefit, we can benefit from the new technology to have an automatically provisioning of the SRG from the controller or from the network element based on some advanced algorithm to detect whether fibers are in the same cable or in the same trench and report this information into SRG in the transport CMAP. And then the other correlation is also the case to distinguish whether the problem is on the client or is coming from the client because the audio is down, or down to the, when you have a fiber break, you have a secondary, secondary. So there is a cascade of impacts of entities which can go wrong, and the transformer should be able to track all the issues. So this service is down because this tunnel is down, because this link is down, and so on. So these are, and the third issue is risk prediction. When you have a failure on the working path, then you recover the traffic over the protection path. But then you are, maybe if it is a 1+1 protection, you are no longer able to recover from the second part. And then it's good to report this status, and then maybe have some decision whether it is okay or whether we need to do something else to make sure that also the secondary path is protected. And so that's more or less the 3 use cases that we have discussed before preparing this 00 draft. And what are the next steps? So why we are here? We are here to see if there are feedbacks, if there is interest from the community to progress this work. And we are inviting people to let us know, and we can work together to improve, to add new use cases and to continue on the other sections. And the other big issue is what is the right home for this working group? Because there are 2 major candidates. CCAMP, because here, this is the home for the technology-specific work and for transport network, but also NMOP is the home for CMAP. And here we are talking about applicability to CMAP, to these networks. These are the 2 candidates, and we need to figure out which is the best way, with the best working group to go and address the next updates. Take into account that no matter where we go, we better keep the 2 working groups aligned about this evolution, so to make sure that the other working group is happy with what we do. And then the next step is continue the work, update the missing sections, and so on. Thank you. That's all.
So regarding the home, I was at your presentation
Yes.
at NMOP and I did the comment there. I don't think we are jealous. So wherever you do it, that's fine.
Oh, it's more. I would like the chef to tell me what is the best.
The best, in my opinion, is the CCAMP, simply because it's more work. I would be happy to hand it over because. I mean, we have been always doing technology extensions to things done by other. We don't own RSVPTE, we don't own OSPF, but we have been doing technology-specific extensions to them. So I think even if a CMAP is not a CCAMP concept, if we do technology-specific extensions, they should belong to CCAMP. I think no one argues about that. I've seen that 90% of the CCAMP working group is attending also NMOP, so I don't think there are competency issues, stuff like that. So in the end, if you decide to give more work to the NMOP chairs, that's fine. Regarding the name, so we are all used to call transport network, whatever goes from layer 0 to layer 1. But now that we are speaking about CMAP, we are interacting with other people. Be careful that in IETF, transport networks means level 4. In ITU, it means level 0, 1. In 3GPP, it means everything from layer 0 to layer 3. Correct. So my suggestion would be to use a different term, or at least put in some context. Example, ITU transport networks, or whatever you prefer, just to make sure that there is no ambiguity. Yes. And someone that is outside the CCAMP doesn't understand what you are referring to. But
yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, there was a similar comment to NMOP. I had some discussion. Maybe since most of the work here is for WDM and OTN, we can also say optical transport network, which includes But yeah, that's we need to understand whether we want to go beyond OTN and WDM. Then maybe we need to figure it out. If it is us OTN WDM, maybe optical transport network could solve the issue. Yeah.
Yes. Or I don't know, G709 transport
Yeah,
network,
yeah,
whatever.
also, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Julian?
Jean-Emerick, just wanting to jump on what you said about 90% of CCAMP attending NMOP. I think that's true, but I'm not sure the reverse is true. So I'm perfectly fine with having this work within CCAMP, but we need to make sure that this work is visible for people from NMOP that don't follow CCAMP, that when they do things for the generic purpose, they don't forget about the CCAMP specific technologies, whatever we use as a name to refer to them. So this is where you as a chair maybe has to coordinate a bit more with the GNMOP chair. I think you can manage, of course, but this is where you may have a bit of burden. Thank you.
Said the wise chair to the to the dumb chair. Yeah, you're right.
One quick question from my side, Italo. Precisely because you were commenting now, according to the discussion with Daniele, the optical network and so. But here we are covering further than optical, also microwave,
Yes.
and because this is service and infrastructure is covering both, probably also microwave could be a subject of. Maybe better to find out some terms that generalize to the technologies that we cover here.
Okay.
No?
Okay.
Not only just as,
Yeah, but is the work trying to cover also microwave?
No,
or
at this
not?
moment in time, we are covering only OTN and WDM.
okay.
Yeah.
So in that case, it's clear. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last presentation.
Hi, my name is Bin Young at RIS. I'm on talking about update young data model of performance management streaming. Okay, and I like to highlight the scope of the document. You can see the diagrams and this document is addressed sampling function and collecting function and the reporting function of the network equipment for streaming. And so it contains, this document contains a young data model to support the sampling function and the collecting functions. And some XML example to show the how to support the notification and the subscriptions. And we did propose the young model based on the push model, RFC 8639, 40, and 41. And so if we look at the function a little bit detail, the reporting functions exchange the subscription message with the client, here the network operation center, for example, to determine the target parameter with the sampling interval and the measurement method, including count, snapshot, time mark with the measurement interval. And so, and by this, and after being configured, by the parameter, the I mentioned earlier, and the sampling functions, measured a metric of the target parameter with the sampling interval. And it reported to the raw data to the collecting functions. Collecting functions, the aggregated or the process the raw data from the sampling function and by the subscribed measurement methods over the measuring interval. And then it report the collecting data to the reporting function. This is the scope of the document. Okay, These versions update the PM's the measurement Young model, and we introduced the hierarchical measurement timing interval and the sampling and the measurement interval, and suggest the name of the parameter profile and refactored those names to enhance the readability and the modularity, and deprecated the PM parameter Young model because these try to focus on the generic PM measurement model and independent specific PM parameter, and also update the document to reflect the change of the Young data model. Okay, we added this the hierarchical measurement time interval, the sampling interval, and the measurement interval. Sampling interval is a period at which network performance data is measured at consistent predetermined time points for the continuous timely capture of performance metrics. And also define the measurement interval is the duration over which sampled performance data is aggregated or statically is processed. If you look at the three diagrams, you can see the measurement interval list tree, this node, and is under the sampling interval list node is as a hierarchical structure. If you look at the table on your right-hand side, you can see some example of the relationships between the sampling interval and the measurement interval for the four cases. And for example, if it was the NOH client and want to measure the error the second, it can recast the 1 second sampling interval to monitor the error the second with the multiple measurement interval. Here is we can have the 15 minutes for the short-term analysis and 24 hours for long-term analysis. There are several use cases you can see, including some digital twin and stuff. But this table, I don't think is stable. Need to clarify the values. Anyhow, it can be useful to think about the relationship between the sampling interval and the measurement interval. And so also these versions suggest naming of the parameter profile because we need to define the group of parameter with the associated characteristic to enhance the readability and the support augmentations. If you look at the ITUT's the GDA 7710, it defined the three class of the performance parameter. And so ITUT transport to the maintenance 15 minutes, and the ITUT transport to maintenance 24 hours, and the ITUT transport to QS 24 hours. And I think that these namings can be helpful to the support to the various type of those parameter groups. You can see there's some for fields, the name of the structures inside the red rectangular. You can see the pop field and the source network proposed characters. For example, source can be some standard body organizations, and network can be the WDMs, OTN, something like that, and also transported to refer to the common performance parameters and for the transport network. And proposed can be the maintenance and the QS availability, and the characteristic can be the 15 minutes, 24 hours, and in order to classify some more details for the naming. Okay, and this version updates the name of a node, and for examples, we can create the container node and to the represent the characteristic of the service, the node's name. Okay, here's some, we define the uniform time configured, and under the containers, it can contain the two configurations nodes, interval value and the unit. This node name has been updated for the enhanced readability. Okay, future work. And we're going to update the PM measurement Young model as a generic model, and designed to accommodate the various performance profile and the parameter with flexible time interval. And then we're gonna try to propose some technical specific Young model, like the PM streaming, PM transport streaming. And so I upload Young data model in GitHub. You can see the link here. And so that's all. And
any question for Bill? No questions.
Copy.
Just a question on the Young model structure. If you move back the slides, so you have one. Yes, right.
This one, yeah.
So the measurement interval is the child container of the sampling interval, rather than like two parallel containers. What would be the consideration for that?
Two parallel interval and sampling interval and the measurement interval.
Yeah.
And the difference.
Can they be Can they be independent? Can they be two containers at the same level, or?
In the here is a hierarchical level. Yeah. And so if you look at some, and so actually this one is based on the current GDA 7710. And because the atomic functions can measure some metrics of the target parameter, usually 1 second. Okay. So and then so we do 1 second. There is the multiple the measurement interval.
So it's the same as G7710. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's I'm not clear.
Any further question? No. Then we have reached to the end. So, Ketan, yes.
Yeah. Since we have a couple of minutes, I wanted to bring to the working group's attention the onions discussion that's going on. It's a mailing list, and there is an thought to take the service and higher level abstractions, not device models, but other things, and coordinate that work out of onions working group. CCAMP has been called out as a working group that may have some aspects. I mean, I don't know what they may be. I just wanted to call the working group's attention to it. And I don't know if chairs want to add something further on that.
Yeah, so
it's just to clarify, it's just a discussion list at this point, and nothing is finalized. So, yeah.
So in onions, they're trying to put together everything that is related to abstraction and services like that. This would have impacted to different working groups, also in the routing area, not just in the operations area. TEASY was one of them. CCAMP is one of them. If I correctly remember, drafts that might be impacted are net slicing, because there we are speaking about abstraction. This, as Ketan said, this is something under discussion to be defined, because it is true that network slicing is an abstract concept, and that his work might be moved to onions. But in any case, everything that is technology specific extension can stay in CCAMP. So stay tuned. This is under discussion. We will absolutely inform you on the list as soon as any decision is taken. And but yeah,
and
keep an eye on it.
More importantly, we are like open to your feedback and inputs in this process. It's all there on the onions list if you're interested.
Yes, absolutely. So if you see like a CCAMP draft that is proposed to be moved to onions, and you strongly believe that it shouldn't, we will discuss this. I don't know, maybe a cross posting between onions and CCAMP might be the right thing to do. That's it. Okay, thank you. Thanks everyone, and see you in Montreal or in the corridors, given that we are at the beginning of the week.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
How did you know about the liaison? Just that.
Yeah, right yesterday, one of them.
Ah, okay, so it's a different one.
Yeah, but should be, or maybe it's one, at least I got it.
So this one
or this moment.
arrived today. I'm a little bit behind with the email processing, so it could be.
So it was yesterday.